Hi, my name is Curtis Lewis, and today I'm going to be talking about Qt for my Sped Talk. Qt is a GUI framework that is used in various applications. It's designed to make graphical user interfaces easier to program with a bunch of preset functions and classes and things like that. And for my senior project, I'm going to be using the Python version of Qt, which we'll talk about the differences in a few slides. So here's a brief overview of what Qt is. This is straight from their website. It says easily create connected devices, UIs, and applications with native C++ performance. It's powerful yet compact, has intuitive tools and libraries. So essentially, you download this framework and you have access to all of their pre-built classes, which use an object-oriented design that lets you call all the various methods and things like that. One of the main advantages is that it is cross-platform, meaning that you can port it to everything from car, stereo programming to it's on airplanes as well. So companies like LG, Mercedes-Benz, AMD, and Panasonic are all using Qt in-house for their various software needs. And so it's a huge, very popular framework that is being used all around the world. So for my senior project, I'm actually replicating a Dungeons and Dragons character sheet that allows people to edit it in real time and save their character information. And so I wanted more experience with Python, so I actually discovered that there is a Qt Python version, and normally Qt is written in C++. Well, it is what is mostly used is C++, and so I used the Python version called PyQt5. So there's three versions, 3, 4, and 5, and so I've been using 5. As you can see below, one of the advantages of Qt is this is just one code snippet that allows me to have a open file dialog like you would in any normal program, so that the user can specify which file they want to load in. And it only takes about 10 lines of code right there using the different Qt using the Qt framework, which saves a lot of hassle to not have to reinvent the wheel of things that are being used all the time. So how does it work? Well, PyQt or Qt in general is uses an object-oriented programming, which is what we've talked about earlier. The base class is called a Q object, and everything else derives from that. It uses something that they call event-driven design, which is very common with graphical user interface programming, and it's essentially the idea of instead of a programming running from top to bottom, it instead waits for certain events such as pushing a certain key or clicking on a button or using a scroll bar, things like that. And so Qt takes advantage of this with using a unique signals and slots technique. Every single or most, at least most of their classes have different public signals and slots. So you can have one class send a signal on an event such as on key press or on text change, and then it will send that signal to a slot such as change this or trigger the save file, something like that. And so these signals and slots help you manage different user events like that. And this is ideal for GUI applications because, again, you don't exactly know what the user is going to be pressing when, and so that's why it uses signals and slots like that. One of the other really big draws to Qt is the UI designer. So this is a more primitive version that comes with PyQt, but the principles are the same in that you can design an interface using basically drag and drop tools. You can organize an interface exactly how you want and preview it, and then you save it as a file, and it actually allows you to export that file and then convert it so that you can use that and reference it in your programming. So you don't have to program the UI by hand. You can visually drag and drop and label things, and then you have access to that later on. So instead of programming something like HTML by hand, it will generate it for you, which is super ideal and speeds up development considerably. So here we can see what in PyQt what an exported UI file looks like. So it's a lot of typing that is saved because this is all auto-generated, and you don't have to worry about things like coordinates, the exact location on the page, and the view and things like that. And all you really need to do is make the UI look how you want and name each component, and then you can reference each component separately. And so that's a really powerful core part of why Qt is so popular and easy to use, is definitely because of this being able to export. And exporting this is honestly, it takes one line, one command in your command line, and then you just have to have the right imports in your at the top of your program, and it will work just fine. So lastly, we have just a little wrap up. Basically, Qt is just a powerful and popular GUI widgets toolkit that you can use to create really powerful applications. And PyQt is what I'm using, and it's essentially Python version of the C++, normally C++ Qt interface. And so it's really powerful. So if you guys are in the need of something to help you make GUI applications, I would definitely recommend Qt.